Hello and welcome to Coaches Go Social. I am so super glad that you're here today. We are going to have so much fun. And as you know, February is the month of love, the month of Valentine's Day, of course. And if you can even believe it, Valentine's Day was 9 days ago, only 9 days ago. To me, it feels like forever. I don't know, but it's the time warp that we're experiencing is definitely real. And, I bring in coaches, subject matter experts, and people that I really admire and I trust to bring information to you regarding their expertise. And this month, like I said, was all about love. It's all about relationships. And specifically, the theme has been really like self-love and trust and clarity around, you and your relationship with yourself. And that's where it all starts. I truly believe that entrepreneurship is the ultimate journey in personal development. And that is why I bring these coaches and experts on to share with you their expertise to help you grow your business and personally within your life too. So actually, Valentine's Day, even though it feels like it was forever ago, just 9 days ago, I had my 5-year wedding anniversary. So that was super fun. And, we did a little getaway and celebration with like cake and fun stuff, just the three of us, our small little family. And that was a lot of fun too. So it's all about, creating experiences and, right now trying to just make the best of the time that we have. And that is why I wanted to make sure that I brought on relationship coaches and love coaches to help you on your journey as well. So today I have Catherine Dietz. She is the founder of A Healthy Path to Love. And she is going to help us figure out how to empower ourselves again with self-trust and clarity, which is super, super important when we are in relationships and when we're not in relationships, right? How do we get the courage and the clarity to really go after what we want in our lives? So Catherine is, she's a women's guide to should I stay or should I go? And she uses her professional and personal experience to coach women on how to release their fear of making a mistake or being alone. And I'll have her give you more information about that and let her know more about her as well. Relationships in life are amazing when they're going well, and when they're not, that's when we tend to put more attention on them. But why not bring the attention on it ahead of time before any problems come about, and that way you're really you have a good toolkit to be able to help your relationship become the best that it can. So if you're here watching us, make sure to say hello. We love to see you here and interact with you as well. And also, again, with the fact that there isn't a lot of networking events, we're talking about this before the show, not a lot of networking events happening right now. We want to take the opportunity to chat and see you face to face and be able to chat with you. Oh, Sherry's here. Here's Sherry. She actually joined us in one of our messenger chat rooms in January, and that was a lot of fun. We got to dig in with the speaker Gina a little more, get to know each other a little more again. So if you find this valuable, make sure to invite your friends and stick with us after the show in just about 30 minutes, and we'll gather all together in a messenger chat room afterwards. We can see your beautiful faces. So we are going to share, Catherine's going to talk about the ABCs of moving forward, and I don't want to give too much away, so I'm just going to leave it at that, but it's just hugely valuable information for everybody, regardless if you're in a relationship or not. Super, super helpful. And if you don't know what I do, by the way, if you're here and you're like, well, what does Amy do? She just brings on guests. Well, I actually help you create this show, what I'm doing right now, for yourself, again, with the fact that we don't have networking capabilities as much as we have, but creating your own platform to show that you're the expert in what you do, and then also bringing in guests to show value and build a community as well. So there's tons of benefits of live streaming. I could talk about that all day long, but I won't. I just wanted you to know that. And I do want to share also that this show is sponsored by wave.video, and that is the tool. It's actually a really easy to use video editing tool that I use to put this intro video together. And what I love about it is you can bring in captions, you can really customize the video to make it your own. You can bring in, of course, your own little clips and really enhance them. So that's the tool that I use, and I love sharing about it as well. So again, if you're here, make sure you say hi. Let me know that you're here, and I'm going to bring on Catherine right after I show you my intro video. See you then. Hello, Catherine. Welcome.
Thank you. Such an awesome video there you created. Love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know I was like, I need to do it. I made it about 6 months ago and I'm like, I should do it over again. I'm like, but I love it so much.
Yeah.
Let me just add to it and make it a little longer. We'll see.
Yes. Good.
So I'm so excited to have you here. Catherine and I met at Hub, which is a local, well, not local, it's actually global community of co-working space, co-working and community. And we met there at the co-working space, I think at an event probably. And we were both like, oh, we're both super tall because I'm 6'2". How tall are
Yes.
you?
6 feet. Yeah.
You're 6 feet. Yeah, we're right up there. Anyone over 6 feet, I'm like, oh, someone that's like close to my height. It was super fun. So we just hit it off, and I remember that distinctly. So
Yes.
I'm super excited. We're talking about the month of love, and I always think of love as not only in just like relationships, but self-love. Really being able to understand ourselves better and bringing that expertise that you have to our audience to see what how they can help themselves in or out of a relationship, no matter what. There's a lot of value that you have to share, so I'm super excited. So you want to tell us a little bit more about you, kind of how you got started and all that kind of fun stuff?
Sure. Yes. So the short version of it is I was in a long-term legal assistant position for many, many years, decided I wanted to do something different, got into the medical field for a few years, and then that led me down the path of wanting to heal people from the inside instead of healing from the outside. I learned about Louise Hay, self-love philosophies, empowerment, etc. Did some healing touch energy work, and it just kind of kept on leading me down this path of empowering myself and then feeling really inspired and empowered to help others empower themselves through the same things that I had learned. So then I started my own business back in 2012 was when I officially started it. And then I started focusing on helping women get through the confusion of should I stay or should I go back in 2014. And so much of it comes back to self-love for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I really like what you said about healing from the inside out, because
Yeah.
I feel, a lot of the things they talk about definitely you hear in psychology and just in like methods and healing in general is that there is such a connection. The mind-body connection is so strong. And
Yes.
I know I experienced that myself, when you're having a hard day, emotionally and mentally, then you're like, you don't feel good physically. There's like a real connection there.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, so I like that you definitely saw that early on and the opportunity to help heal people from the inside out. That's really cool.
Yes. It's a life
Yay.
changer for sure.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So, talking about specifically for you and how you help your clients, get into that space of, out of the fear, right? Like if you're in a relationship and it's not going very well and, you're at that point, you're like scared, like, do I go? Do I stay? That's, really what you help people with. What do you find is advice for people and like in general, like really quick before we kind of dive into things, that people can know ahead of time before they get to that point? What's something that you always were like, I wish they would have known that?
Right. Yes. And I liked how you said earlier that, we don't necessarily have to wait till we have problems to work on these things and put focus on the relationship. We could be putting focus on the relationship ahead of time and prevent things from happening. Same thing with preventative healthcare. You take good care of yourself, your body does better. So yes, planning ahead and not potentially getting to that point of should I stay or should I go is making sure that you make each other a priority. And absolutely making sure that you make yourself a priority, that you're staying connected with who you are and what matters to you, and that you're staying connected with your partner and even making time, sometimes scheduling time once a week to sit down and just engage with each other and make sure that everything is going okay. Really making each other a priority. That can change so much because people just kind of get into this very comfort zone and familiar and, oh, they know how I feel about them. They don't need to hear I love them, that type of stuff. So really appreciating them and yourself in the process. And when things do start to if there's a disconnect, to really address it early on instead of letting it get worse and worse and worse, because the bigger the gap gets, the more difficult it is to bring it back together.
Yeah, definitely. I completely understand that. Yeah, being able to again have not get into the not the rut, I want to say, like get into the, getting really comfortable, and then yeah, assuming that they know these things that you're not telling them, and then that kind of makes you maybe drift apart a little bit, I'm guessing. I would imagine. Yeah, so definitely there's lots of proactive things that we can do for sure. So I think that's
Absolutely.
pretty much what your ABCs goes through, right? The ABCs of moving forward healthy and effectively.
Right.
Awareness, right? Like you have to be
Yeah.
aware of it. You have to be paying attention to what's going on. Tell us more about that.
Yes, absolutely. So, especially if you have gotten to that point of like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? Should I stay or should I go? And this applies to anything. It doesn't have to be about a romantic relationship. It can be about a job. It can be about a diet. It can be about a home you live in. It can be about anything. But I focus primarily on relationships. And the first thing is that awareness and that acknowledgement of there's a disconnect here. This doesn't feel right to me. I'm feeling not as healthy as I could be in this relationship. I'm not feeling the love that we felt before. So having that awareness, acknowledging that it's happening instead of just denying it, because a lot of us just want to like, I don't have time to deal with this. And so we dismiss it, we stuff it down, we numb ourselves sometimes. So A can actually be awareness, acknowledgement, and acceptance of what's going on. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're okay with it, but you're accepting the fact like, look, there's a disconnect here. I accept that this is happening. I need to do something about this. That's the first step, is being aware that you need to do something differently.
Right. And then it sounds like to me what you're saying is that, there's like a feeling inside that you're like, there's something not right here, like you're out of alignment, I would almost say, right? Like you're
Yes.
thinking one way and you're like, oh, I feel this way, but I should be doing something over here. And like getting into that mode of like really trusting yourself, right? How do we get on that path of
Yeah,
like really
absolutely.
trusting that part of us? Yeah.
Great question. And so much of that is we're thinking one thing and we're feeling another. So our head is saying one thing, for example, well, I'm married. I made this commitment. I said I would stay in it no matter what. So I have to stay. I just have to deal with it. Where your heart's going, yeah, you made this commitment, but you made this commitment to love. And this relationship isn't feeling very loving. So there's a disconnect there. Head saying one thing, heart saying another. There's like this internal tug of war. So what you need to do is really start tapping into listening to what your emotions are telling you, because so many of us let our heads dominate the conversation all the time, or other people telling us what we should or shouldn't do. It's our soul that guides us. It's our emotions that let us know when something doesn't feel right. And so really tapping into that wisdom and getting quiet, of course, tapping into that inner power through meditation, through your spiritual practice, whatever that may be. We already have a built-in inner guidance system that already knows the answers to all of our questions and problems. So getting quiet and listening to that helps us trust ourselves, and not listening to all the voices telling us what we should and shouldn't do based on their experience. Trusting that we have the answers within makes us feel more empowered, makes us feel more confident.
Definitely. I love that. Yeah, trusting that, because you do, like, exactly what it is. Then we like overthink, or we like start asking people, and then you get all overwhelmed because you've got all these ideas in your head, right? Just know, like, but it's tough, like you said, to have that time just to be like, okay, I just need to like have that space and time to give yourself to do that. Now I'm really curious for the people watching right now that it doesn't have to, like Catherine said, it doesn't have to just be about relationships. Have you ever had a decision that you've had to make in your life, or come to like some kind of crossroads in your life about any type of thing? It could like be where you're going to live, or where if you're going to buy a house, or what job, different jobs. You're going to take this job, you're going to start a business, are you not? Like, what was it to you? Like, where was it in that your thought process? That unalignment, in alignment, where you got out of alignment, then how did you get back into alignment to really move forward and make that decision? I think that's the key, right? Is to, again, like you said, of awareness, knowing that you're in that position, and then how did you get yourself out of it? I would love to hear the stories that people have that are watching right now of being in that situation, because we've all have been there. For sure, we all have been. I know I've been there multiple times in my life in different situations, and really being able to hone into that self-trust and just knowing, like, not listen to everyone else. Just know that I know what I'm doing. Exactly. I think that's key. That's hugely key.
And believing in yourself and loving yourself. Absolutely. Because if we're beating ourselves up all the time, we're not going to trust ourselves. If we're beating ourselves up for past mistakes that we haven't forgiven ourselves before, we're not going to trust ourselves. We have to learn how to forgive and love and accept all parts of ourselves, even when we know we need to make changes. It's okay. We know we need to make changes. We can still accept ourselves in the process of it anyway.
Yeah, life is just one big learning lesson, right? We're all just going along the path. We don't know everything. We, trust that that even if you make a decision and it's not the right one, that you're going to find that there is a different way to go and a different path, and you'll learn from that, right? That's moving forward, and that right there is the definition of personal growth. So being able to trust yourself and knowing that, if it doesn't work out, that it's not the end of the world. It's just a different path you're going to go along. Exactly. Tell us more about bravery. I think that kind of leads right into it.
Yes, absolutely. So bravery is really, it's accepting responsibility for the fact that, okay, I'm in this situation that I don't want to be in. I know there's a gap of where I am and where I want to be. So I know something needs to change. And we all know what it is. Sometimes we don't want to face it, but that's what takes the bravery. The bravery is facing what needs to change. Is it better communication with my partner? Is it being real about my feelings that I was too afraid to be real about before? Is it me learning how to express my feelings in a healthy way instead of lashing out? What is the biggest component of the disconnect between my partner and I, or whatever situation you might be in? And then having the bravery to face that instead of running away from it and saying, okay, what can I learn about this? When we get uncomfortable in situations, that's when we really, really learn about ourselves, because the program that we already have up here tries to jump in and fix things. And that program might not be up to date with what we're growing through. And so then we get really uncomfortable, like, I don't know the answer to this. What am I supposed to do? It's okay. Be brave, face what it is. The answers will come. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I have a story to share, actually, that's not related to relationships, but in the same idea that maybe will hopefully get people thinking about their own situations. Like when I quit my job, I worked for Verizon for 14 years. And when I got pregnant with my son, we decided that I was going to stay at home. And I thought, this is going to be like the best situation ever. I could spend 24/7 with my newborn and, all the time in the world. And I just get to focus on him. And I was so excited. And he was born. And 6 months later, I was like, whoa, this is not what I expected at all. This is not, I was very out of alignment. Let's just say that. And, but then there was all this like guilt, like, but I wanted this so bad. I should have been happy that way. And that should have been okay. But then it wasn't. And that was again, being out of alignment, being aware, like it took me a while to go, oh, wait, this isn't actually what I wanted. Like, I actually do want to work in some capacity. And then having that, then going to bravery and being like, okay, well, I want to do something. I want to work, but I want to do it on my own terms. And, this is back when not everybody was remote working from home, right? Like the remote working jobs 7 years ago were really hard to come by, especially part-time ones. And that was my challenge, right? Going, oh my gosh, like how am I going to find something that is going to give me that balance that I've now been aware of that I needed? And then that's when I took that step blindly into entrepreneurship. And here I am 7 years later. I had one business that I started that it was, a blogging coupon blog website business that I did for a couple of years. And then I started using social media to bring attention to it. And then I thought, you know what? I like this social media stuff way better. I'm going to go over here and, help people that already have businesses get attention on their, social media and bring people closer to them using the power of Facebook and Instagram. And that's what brought me where I am right now. So, having that decision of like being at that crossroads, you'll get into that situation, and we're all going to have those decisions in our life. Again, that's what life is all about. But having that awareness and then bravery to be able to move forward, and then having that conscious choice of tell us more about that. That's the C. I gave it away, but
yes. How did you know that, Amy? Yes. So then the conscious choice is about, okay, now that I'm aware that there's a gap, I'm being brave about what needs to change. Now I need to make a conscious choice about how I'm going to go about doing this. If it's better communication that I know needs to change, am I going to buy a book on better communication? Am I going to ask my significant other to go to counseling with me? Am I going to go to counseling myself? Am I going to hire a coach? Whatever it may be, there's all sorts of different resources that can help us learn how to communicate better. If it's about getting more in touch with your feelings, like, gosh, I don't even know what I want. I've always been people pleasing other people. Now I need to really focus inward and figure out what matters to me. And the conscious choice is to work on yourself, to take some time and have a relationship with yourself, instead of with everybody else in your life except yourself. So depending on what you became aware of in terms of the biggest thing that you need to change, and there might be multiple things that need to change, then you make a conscious choice. You don't just like grab at anything that comes your way. You make a conscious choice. You start tuning into, does this feel like the right choice for me, or am I doing this out of fear? Am I making this choice because somebody else is telling me to make it? Or am I making this choice because there's something within me? My intuition is kind of like, yes, go in this direction. Yes, go in this direction. And the more you start listening to that voice, the more you will trust it, and the more conscious you can be about your choices.
It sounds to me like you're encouraging people to take action, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, because nothing's going to change if you don't take any action. You can ruminate it all you want. You can talk about it all you want. You can bitch about it all you want. But it's not going to change unless you change and you take action to change it. And in a relationship, absolutely, the other person in the relationship may need to make changes too. But initially, the focus is on you. Initially, the focus is on, my role in the relationship is this. I'm accepting responsibility for how I've been showing up in this role. I'm going to show up differently, and then I'm going to communicate with my partner what needs to change, where I'm coming from, how I came to this point. Because if we blame the other person all the time and we think that's what needs to change, well, if they didn't do this or they did do this, then everything would be fine. We're giving all our power away. We need to take responsibility for what we can change first, and then see where that leads us.
Right. Because do you think people get stuck into that, that cycle of the thoughts and all the things and all the emotions, and then they don't make that step? Like, you can get stuck in there for a long time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things is like, I help people release the fear of making a mistake or being alone, because that's a very, very common thing when women come to me like, oh gosh, I just want to make sure I'm making the right choice. And so they get stuck. Like, at least I know what to expect from this. I'm not happy, but at least I know what to expect. It could be worse. Or what if I end up being alone? So you're right. It's like a paralysis in a sense of, you just get stuck. You don't know what to do. And all of us go through that. When we don't know what to do, when we feel really confused and we don't feel empowered, of course we feel stuck, because we just don't know where to go. So we find a way to help ourselves. And sometimes we do need support and guidance from somebody else. Sometimes we can do it on our own through reading a book or whatever it may be. But yes, absolutely take action, or you're just going to, I call it the spin cycle of frustration. It reminds me of a washing machine. It just keeps on spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. You're not going to get anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the tough part. So getting yourself out of that. And if you can't get yourself out of that, then, wrangle in some help, wrangle in some friends, find someone to talk to. Again, we were talking about this earlier. We're in a situation right now for the last almost year, exactly to the day, that we have, been forced into something that we're not used to being, and we're not built for. And that's just, being isolated, being in our homes, and with our family or without family or wherever the case may be. That's a really tough situation to be in. So actually reaching out, taking that action, and finding a connection and finding help for sure is how to get out of that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Finding that connection with yourself, and then, yes, absolutely connecting with others, because we're very social creatures, and it's very important that we connect with others and that we feel love and that we feel joy in our lives. It doesn't have to be romantic love, it can be friendship love, family love, pet love, whatever it is, but we are designed to connect and be loving with one another.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Tim's joining us now too. And I know we're talking about relationships, but before you hopped in here, Tim, we were talking about how this can apply to any area of your life, not just, being in a relationship or not, but, whatever other decisions in your life that you have that come up, and being able to, have that trust and believe in yourself and know that you know what you should do moving forward. Deep down inside, you have that and trust that you have that. So I'm curious to know if you've had decisions in your life that you've experienced that, you were maybe kind of out of that alignment in that decision-making process and were able to move yourself forward, because it's definitely, I think right now, especially, maybe we're experiencing more of that because it's, we have more time to just think and be in our heads a little more often than we're really used to. So yeah, shout out to all the different situations. There's all sorts of different things. And that's why I have this show, because I want people to know that there is help out there. You don't have to be alone. And if someone's asking a question, if you're thinking of a question, this is one big thing I always talk about. If you're thinking of something, like you have a question in your mind, you've always got to just ask the question, because there's always someone else. You can't be the only possible one to think about that question, to have that question in your mind and get the answer. And someone else is going to be like, oh yeah, I'm really glad you asked that. Thank you for asking that, right? So if you have any questions for Catherine, make sure you add them in the comments here before we wrap up. But before we do wrap up, I want to share, Catherine, you have a little guide to share with my audience too, right?
Yes, I do. So it's called 8 Days of Inspired Action. It's just a little appetizer of my program that I lead women through to help them find their answer to should I stay or should I go. And so you just sign up for it. It's free. And then you get an email every day for 8 days in a row that gives you some insights, gives you some guidance. And every day there's an exercise, there's action to take so that you start to get a little more clarity. And just that little bit of clarity can make sometimes the hugest difference, because we'll start feeling relief, especially if we've been in a state of confusion for a while. And then we finally get like a little glimpse of oh, okay, all right, there I am. Then we feel a huge relief with just a little ounce of clarity. And then that, we can build the momentum from there. So that's what that 8 days of inspired action is all about.
Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome. Exactly. Action. The key word here is
Yes.
action, because
Yes.
nothing will change no matter what kind of situation you're in unless you take action to move forward. I know as entrepreneurs, we've got all sorts of things to do, and you can think about, how am I going to create that funnel? How am I going to create that offer? Where am I going to speak next? And where is my next marketing action? And you can think about it all day long, but that gets you nowhere until you actually do something. So make sure you're not just sitting there thinking about it. Got to take that action to move forward. And maybe it won't be the exact right step at that right time, but it'll get you closer to it because you'll learn from that experience and you'll be able to move forward. So I really appreciate you being here, Catherine. This has been a really good conversation and just really eye-opening too, that I love your ABC, awareness, bravery, and the conscious choice. And that's really, know that you have everything inside you that to be successful in every area of your life. Trust your gut, right? Trust yourself, and that will give you the clarity. Give yourself the space and the trust. So, any last things that you want to add on, Catherine?
Yes, beautifully said. That essentially wraps it up, and just kind of a reminder to really building that self-trust and clarity through really tuning into your relationship with yourself, loving yourself, appreciating yourself. All the things that you want from your partner or anybody else, give to yourself for sure. And that will, just having that healthier relationship will naturally help you feel clearer. It'll help you hear the inner voice. It will help you trust yourself more.
Definitely. I love that. Well, thank you again so much for being a guest on my show today. It was so much fun to learn and, geek out about all this personal development stuff that I love talking about all the time. So it's my jam, and I know you're there too. So it's glad to have you on here to share your knowledge and expertise. Again, take advantage of Catherine's guide, the 8 days of inspired action, full of value. And where can people reach out to if they did want to start working with you?
So the easiest place would be healthypathtolove.com is my website, and that has my contact information as well as Facebook and Instagram and everything. So healthypathtolove.com. Yep.
Perfect. I added that link in the comments below for you to join in. And if you don't want the conversation to end right now, we don't either, because we want to see your beautiful faces and chat with you in a Facebook Messenger chat room for a few minutes after the show. So if you have a minute to join us, I'm going to add this link in the comments for you to just hop right over there. And it's kind of like Zoom. And if you're watching this live, great. If you're on the replay, we're not going to be there. But if you're watching this live, I'd love to have you hop in and join the show. After every show, we do this. I take my guests aside and to this little room and chat and invite you all in. So we'd love to see you and chat with you. If you have more questions that you want to ask Catherine, or just chit chat, get to know each other better. I'd love to see you there. So just added that into the chat there, and we're going to say goodbye for now. Wrapping up the month of love. I can't believe that it's already almost over. We've got still like a week left. Next month, I'm going to talk about on Coaches Go Social. I'm going to bring some guests to you that are going to share their expert advice on getting organized. So I like, March. This is March 21st. This is spring, the beginning of spring, and spring cleaning. So think about how you can spring clean your home, your business, we're going to talk about how to clean your computer, get all that organized. So it'll be super fun. Make sure that you join us next time. So we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.